welcome to 1 Million Cups, because there are some new people in the room that I'm seeing, so super welcome. I hope it won't be your last time. I'm Krista Sotomayor, the lead organizer for 1 Million Cups, and we've got our team kind of dispersed. We're all wearing some version of, a name tag. So find us and you'll know. If you have any questions, let us know afterwards. We're going to start out this morning. We're getting started a little bit late for that. I apologize. We're still adjusting to new venues, new equipment. The sugar apparently is on its way, so there's always something. We just have to roll with it. But that's the life of an entrepreneur, right? All right. So with that, Brenda's going to acknowledge our sponsors first. She's got to leave a little bit early, and then we'll roll into our presentation.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Brenda Reliant. You probably saw me 2 weeks ago if you were here. I'm also one of the organizers for 1 Million Cups here in RTP and also in Durham. Just to, as Krista mentioned, there's a couple of sponsors that we want to give acknowledgement to who make this happen. David Kinky is responsible for the emails and marketing that you get. Muddy Dog Roasting Company and NC Idea for the wonderful coffee. Soto IP, Imperative Product Operations, Family Legacy, Financial Solutions, Broadreach Marketing Services, Uplift Now, and then also new and including the network of entrepreneurs in Wilmington. So I just want to give a round of applause for all of that. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with our presenters.
So I don't know about you, but I would have never, having been involved in the legal world, but only on the intellectual property side, I would never, in my wildest dreams, contemplate representing myself in a courtroom. That would scare the hell out of me. However, Sonja and her partner have said, well, why not? Let's do this. Because we can. And she's here to show us how to stand up for ourselves and seek justice when it's not automatically served. So Sonja, welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, I'm Sonja Ebron. I'm the Chief Executive at Courtroom5. I have one ask of 1 Million Cups this morning. I'd like you to introduce us to angel investors who would be interested in seeing us redefine the way legal services are delivered in the United States. So Courtroom5 offers a low-cost monthly service for people representing themselves in court. Our mission is access to justice for people who find themselves in civil court without a lawyer. The Latin term for them is pro se, meaning for oneself or representing oneself. More people than ever today are exercising their right to go pro se. Deborah Sloan and I are the founders of Courtroom5. We both work full-time on the company without pay. We care so much about access to justice because we've been denied justice many times. The last time a court gave us the bum rush, we taught ourselves civil procedure, legal research, and how to represent ourselves effectively to make sure that didn't happen again. And then we decided to make pro se litigation effective for everyone. I am the business and technical lead for the company. I'm a PhD electrical engineer with 2 prior startups. Deborah is the user experience and content lead. She has a PhD from UNC's top-ranked library and information science program. And she's a widely cited scholar on innovative qualitative analysis techniques. Pro se litigants are the primary users of our civil justice system. According to the National Center for State Courts, a pro se litigant is present in more than 3 of every 4 civil cases in this country. But here's the pain point. In the overwhelming majority of those cases, a pro se defendant has been dragged into court by a plaintiff's lawyer, who not only has the advantage of a legal education, but who may have taken months to prepare the claim and set the table for the case. It's not a fair fight. So why don't these people just hire a lawyer? Well, outside of traffic court and small claims court, it can cost $5,000 just to retain a lawyer. Anywhere from $15,000 to $100,000 to fully resolve a case. Half of us can't find $400 in an emergency, right? So hiring a lawyer is not an option for most. Lawyers now offer what they call limited representation. For a few $100s, they will ghostwrite a motion for a client or appear at a single hearing without taking on a client's full case. And, you know, there are marketplaces set up to connect pro se litigants with lawyers operating on that basis. The problem is that pro se litigants don't know how to task a lawyer. They don't know what services to buy. And for the limited dollars on the table, a lawyer can't invest the time to find out what service is best for a client, what service to sell. And so people aren't using those marketplaces. They aren't hiring lawyers. They are going into court to fend for themselves. Oh, but the layman facing a lawyer in court is in a world of trouble, particularly in complex cases like foreclosure or debt collection or contested divorces. People in those situations need guidance at each step on what to do next, and they need help completing each of those next steps. Well, our solution meets that need head on. Let's take, for example, our member Patricia, who's just been served a divorce petition. Her husband wants their home and custody of the kids. But worse, he has a lawyer. Patricia can't afford one, so she comes to Courtroom5, uploads the divorce petition. That triggers our recommender, which points her towards several resources for moving to dismiss that petition, including document templates, a case law database, and other litigation tools. Courses and workshops on civil procedure, legal research, discovery and evidence. A pro se community where she receives peer advice and support. And coming soon, a legal services marketplace where Patricia can hire on a task basis a lawyer, a private investigator, a court reporter, and other professionals whenever she needs help. And then whatever is filed in her case is uploaded to her Courtroom5 account, and the cycle repeats until her case is adjudicated or settled. In that way, we steer each of our customers to a better outcome than they could reach on their own. Our customers compete in court for the price of a Courtroom5 subscription, while their opponents pay a hefty legal bill each month. And so we help our customers win a war of attrition against their opponents to force favorable settlements in their cases. Courtroom5 is unique in preparing people step by step to represent themselves in court. This is so that they can both do it themselves when they choose and hire a lawyer when they need help. So this is a win-win solution for consumers, for legal services providers, and for the marketplace that can bring them together. We see a $2 billion market opportunity here. We think we can get 3.5 million pro se litigants to contribute $600 a year in some combination of monthly subscription fees and marketplace transaction fees. And we've begun to see some traction. Last year, we acquired customers at just under $12 each. Our subscription rate at that time was $19 per month, and we retained customers for more than 4 months. So we have a viable subscription business model right now, but we believe the winner in this space will be a marketplace, and we intend to be that marketplace. So by the end of next year, we expect marketplace transaction fees to effectively add 5% onto the monthly subscription rate. And going forward, we expect marketplace commissions to become the dominant source of revenue. We're building a legal services marketplace for people we've prepared to use one. Now, we currently reach our customers using content, social media, and Google Ads. But both our product and our marketing need to be state specific because the laws are different in each state. And so we're raising $250,000 to develop and test a local model, starting here in North Carolina. We want to work with legal services organizations to localize a version of our product for North Carolina courts. And we'll also invest in monthly meetups for pro se litigants to acquire customers on the ground. And so going out 12 months, we expect to reach about $300,000 in monthly recurring revenue from about roughly 12,000 customers. In the subsequent 18 months, we will demonstrate that local model in 5 or 6 other states to reach a total customer count somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000. And then we'll take the subsequent 2.5 years to roll that model out nationally. So, send me angel investors. Thank you for your attention, the opportunity to speak with you today, and thank you in advance for your questions. Yes?
Hi, so 2 questions for you. I love this concept and I think it's very much needed in the community. The first question I have is just around subscription services. So I imagine you have a lot of transient users that are using it for a year and then dropping off. Is that just something I'm just curious from a business model perspective, that's a concern, or how's that going?
Churn occurs in every subscription business. So you're right. We've got folks that come in and realize the work involved in actually representing themselves and leave pretty much immediately. Others who've been with us the entire 2 years we've been online. When folks do it right, litigation can take years.
Right.
But you have to put the work in. So our job is to help them do that work, to last as long as they can, to force those settlements.
And then the second question I have is just around education for a client. Like if they're coming in and they're just not even aware of where to start, how do you help them in terms of just understanding what their options are and where the line is between doing online work versus at this point they really need to hire a lawyer through your marketplace?
Great question. We conceived the project, we're former academics, both of us, and so we conceived the project as a merely an educational project. What we found though is that we were able to embed sort of micro instructions throughout the product. And so we've got courses, as I mentioned, on the flow of litigation, on civil procedure, on legal research, and so on. And folks can take them, as they like, self-serve. Video courses, 6 to 10 minutes apiece. Great stuff. But in addition to that, when they go to move to dismiss, for instance, there are actually instructions embedded in the template, so they know what the standards are. They are linked to some of the lessons that are necessary for them to understand. We've got short articles as well that are linked to throughout those templates. They're really everywhere in our service, just to point them to the information they need in a just-in-time fashion. Yes, sir.
The law changes based upon what legend. How do you maintain a current status on the laws that have changed on your website?
Right. The primary source of law in the United States is case law. That is where judges throughout the country interpret the legislature's statutes. And we don't actually advise people on the law. It's actually against the law for us to do that as non-lawyers. But we provide that case law. There are 6 million cases that folks can search in the United States. And we show them how to find the specific cases that support any legal position they want to take, if that law is available. We also link to the federal and state civil rules of procedure, as well as the statutes around the country. So they can find the law they need. Our job is to help them find that law. Yes, sir.
How do you guys differentiate yourselves from, say, like Fine Law or LegalZoom, which also have marketplaces?
Yeah, we don't yet have a marketplace. We are entering that space. Fine Law doesn't, it's a great source of information. There's lots of that out there, some of what you mentioned. But there's nothing really to prepare people for the steps that they actually need to take in litigation. So if you know what to do at a particular point in your case, the information is relatively easy to find. Even though you may not understand exactly how to execute the step, you'll get the basic legal information that's available. There's lots of that stuff out there. The way we differentiate is, again, to walk people precisely through what they need to do next. Without giving legal advice, we just point them in the right direction. And that's something those other marketplaces don't do.
I'm curious about the case law database that you have. How do you match people with relevant case law? Because it seems like, from what I hear, this is a big thing in legal terms.
It's a big deal. We have courses on how to do legal research, pretty extensive. So you can become, not an expert certainly, but adept at least in finding legal support in about 6 hours with one of our courses. We also offer a more superficial treatment of legal research in a weekly, in one of our weekly seminars. So we have a live Q&A every Sunday afternoon for our customers on a specific topic. One of them is legal research, and we provide them just really a quick superficial overview, or recipe, if you will, for if this is your legal position, here's how you go about searching case law. We have built a really simplified legal research interface for our customers. Pro se litigants, they don't need Westlaw or LexisNexis. You need to find some very basic introductory law on your specific issue. If you're in divorce, you need to find certain types of cases. If you're in a foreclosure, etc. And so if you're in a state court, you go to our legal research tool, you select state appellate court and select your specific state, and then all of that state's case law is available to you. The question then is entering the right search terms in the search field. And we've got some advanced tools as well. So if you want to find cases within a certain date range or proximity of keywords, that sort of thing. It's a little complicated. But we walk them through how to find the top 10, 15, 70 cases that might be relevant depending on the types of keywords they use.
So it's like
It's like
kind of
Google.
Googling.
It's a sort of Google. It is. But again, it's designed specifically for pro se litigants. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question. I'm looking at I saw what you meant, but there's some university law schools, take like Harvard and some of these law schools who have similar product like yours. It's right there and all that stuff. It takes you step by step. In the long run, sometimes some of the students will take it as a research. How do you see yourself in some of these law schools? All of these law schools have the similar product you have,
right,
which they are doing it, the same thing what you're doing, compete and all that stuff. And the way I look at your product is for like low income people cannot afford it. You know what I'm saying? And some of them can't even afford to pay the monthly prescription. And how do you see yourself for the next maybe 2-3 years and all that? Because some people drop you out. Because there is something with most of law schools around the US who have all this stuff, which some of the students can take these things and help you, guide you, but they just as some for free. That people, me sitting reading 60 pages, you can type up and some of them will answer you and all that stuff. How do you see yourself competing with those law schools and all that stuff and those students?
Right. I would love to hear of a law school that's doing some of this. We actually have law school students coming and asking us questions. We're not a Q&A service, which I think may distinguish us from some of those. We have an online community for our members where they ask questions and some other members might be able to help them or point them in the right direction. But we don't necessarily do Q&A at all. Our service actually allows a pro se litigant to maintain their entire litigation project. So they maintain a record of their case. For instance, they have 2 or 3 dozen document templates for the most common types of filings. There is the educational piece, which certainly law schools would replicate, but ours are designed for the layman, not for law school students.
No, I'm not saying, but we can go as a client myself,
yes,
a low income client,
yeah,
and I don't have any savings, not like legal aid, but but they have some libraries where the law school, you can type up some of the law school students can look at it and,
yes,
and all that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not saying you're not your library, but I'm telling you as a client myself, as a low income client, I can't afford this thing. And there's some libraries, some law schools who already have this program exist and all that stuff. How do you see yourself competing them with that?
Yeah, I think the comparison would be to legal aid. So the Legal Services Corporation, the federal, I don't think it's an agency, but they get most of their funding from the Fed, provide funding to legal aid organizations throughout the country. So there's one big one in North Carolina, Legal Aid of North Carolina, for instance. And they do provide free representation for low-income people. The income standards are very low. Probably about 10% of the population might be eligible. But these days, you find middle-class people needing legal services, and they can't go to legal aid. Even those who are eligible, half of them are turned away because they just don't have the resources to compete. So our current subscription rate is about $25 a month. We find most people able to do that. But thanks for the question. Yes, sir.
Yes, to Brenda's first question about churn, I see 4-point-something months.
Yes.
You explained it beautifully as there are some people who just overwhelmed and won't, which is then suddenly is understandable. Do you collect statistics when you have somebody who says, okay, my custody case got resolved, or it's appealed, case status, do you track that at all? Because if you do, you could do a KPI on how many people have subscribed for the length of a litigation.
Right.
I suspect that you
We
take
do.
out, you
We
do.
don't do it yet by claim type, though,
Oh.
but we do, just in general, that, yes.
By general, you mean in aggregate or?
In aggregate, that's
Oh,
right.
in
So
aggregate.
we don't yet segment on claim type yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so you do, okay. And then so a KPI on like the percentage
Churn.
of time.
Yes.
Might be a little bit better than the churn, the average system.
Well,
But-
they're sort of inversely related though, churn
Yeah.
and customer lifetime.
Yeah.
They're directly related, yeah. So, I'll get to the other side, I see some hands over there, I'm coming, yes.
I'm not quite sure how to ask it, but what kind of relationship do you have with civil litigation firms?
Right.
In terms of either people are overwhelmed and then they see the value of hiring them, maybe you get them, if there's a national one, you get them to be your sponsor for their
Wouldn't that be
advertising.
great? Great idea.
Or like they do it in conjunction. So somebody comes and sees this and says, you know, it's great that you're providing guidance, but I'd rather pay a Sherpa.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna work with a civil litigation
Right.
attorney, let him or her say, go do this, do that. It's sort of like serving as your own paralegal.
That's right, that's right.
Uh-huh.
It's a great idea, something that we've looked at. I don't think, we haven't found a capable national firm that can do that, but certainly there are some statewide firms that can do that. We think there's a larger opportunity though in solo firms, small law firms, who are looking for clients. You know, there's a million lawyers out here who can't find enough, many of them who can't find enough clients to sustain themselves. And so we think there's an opportunity to connect them with sophisticated pro se litigants.
Right, but it comes including with them staying your clients for the duration. So,
Well, no, they can, our members will be able to select a lawyer for a specific task and then another lawyer if they like for a
and
different
then
task.
leave you and stop paying you.
If they want to leave us, they're free to do so each month, but what we provide is the guidance for what they should do next.
Keep them, say that the attorney who gets them as a client
Yeah.
has to continue.
But we haven't developed the policies for the marketplace just yet, but I don't think we need to be so firm. We don't need to hold on to folks that well. We can, you know, survive on the value that we deliver to both the lawyers and other professionals as well as our customers.
We have time probably for 2 more questions, so I think.
Yes.
So, aside from actually being ethical, how do you plan on positioning yourself next to companies such as Legal Shield, who says, for $20 a month, we'll just handle everything?
Yeah.
Like, do you consider them competition, you know, besides not being a scam?
We don't. Frankly, Legal Shield, for instance, is a great company, but they essentially provide legal insurance. They're much broader than litigation, and I think if you look at the terms and conditions of that service, the litigation practice is very limited. Essentially, you would get a discount off the hourly fees of a lawyer you chose through your network. So our service would be a little bit different from that.
Okay, Franklin, and I think that we did.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about customer acquisition. I mean, obviously your customer has a need at a very specific time that's probably unexpected to them. How do you find each other?
Yeah, that is our challenge, exactly. We are unique in the market, and so folks aren't necessarily looking for what we do. But we do have the capacity to talk to pro se litigants in the language they understand, because we walk the path that they're on. We're unique in that way, and so we get most of our traffic organically. We blog a couple times a week on a wide variety of topics that pro se litigants are looking for. We've got several thousand people on our email distribution list. And Google is very friendly to us because, again, we're unique and credible in the market.
Are there like public records available of like defendants
Yes.
that you can access and
There
target
are,
that way?
and they're more usable in the federal courts than in the state courts. Pacer, if anyone's familiar, has all those records. They're difficult to access, though they're all online, but but you don't get like an email address or anything like that. So, so we're just doing it the hard way, organically. Thanks so much for your attention, everybody.